money to captains of companies would be doubled. To this Prince Andrew answered with a smile that he could give no opinion on such an important government order, and Berg laughed gaily. As to your business, Prince Andrew continued, addressing Boris, we will talk of it later. And he looked round at Rostov. Come to me after the review and we will do what is possible. Single quote. And, having glanced round the room, Prince Andrew turned to Rostov, whose state of unconquerable childish embarrassment now changing to anger, he did not condescend to notice, and said, I think you were talking of the Schon Grabern affair. Were you there? Single quote. I was there, said Rostov angrily, as if intending to insult the aide-de-camp. Bolkonski noticed the hussar's state of mind, and it amused him. With a slightly contemptuous smile, he said, yes, there are many stories now told about that affair. Yes, stories, repeated Rostov loudly, looking with eyes suddenly grown furious, now at Boris, now at Bolkonski. Yes, many stories. But our stories are the stories of men who have been under the enemy's fire. Our stories have some weight, not like the stories of those fellows on the staff who get rewards without doing anything. Of whom you imagine me to be one, said Prince Andrew, with a quiet and particularly amiable smile. A strange feeling of exasperation and yet of respect for this man's self-possession mingled at that moment in Rostov's soul. I am not talking about you, he said, I don't know you and, frankly, I don't want to. I am speaking of the staff in general. Single quote. And I will tell you this. Prince Andrew interrupted in a tone of quiet authority. You wish to insult me, and I am ready to agree with you that it would be very easy to do so if you haven't sufficient self-respect, but admit that the time and place are very badly chosen. In a day or two we shall all have to take part in a greater and more serious duel. And besides, Drobetskoy, who says he is an old friend of yours, is not at all to blame that my face has the misfortune to displease you. However, he added, rising, you know my name and where to find me, but don't forget that I do not regard either myself or you as having been at all insulted, and as a man older than you, my advice is to let the matter drop. Well then, on Friday after the review I shall expect you, Drobetskoy. Au revoir, exclaimed Prince Andrew, and with a bow to them both he went out. Only when Prince Andrew was gone did Rostov think of what he ought to have said. And he was still more angry at having omitted to say it. He ordered his horse at once and, coldly taking leave of Boris, rode home. Should he go to headquarters next day and challenge that affected adjutant, or really let the matter drop, was the question that worried him all the way. He thought angrily of the pleasure he would have at seeing the fright of that small and frail but proud man when covered by his pistol. And then he felt with surprise that of all the men he knew there was none he would so much like to have for a friend as that very adjutant whom he so hated. Chapter 8. The day after Rostov had been to see Boris, a review was held of the Austrian and Russian troops, both those freshly arrived from Russia and those who had been campaigning under Kutuzov. The two emperors, the Russian with his heir the Tsarevich, and the Austrian with the Archduke, inspected the Allied army of 80,000 men. From early morning the smart clean troops were on the move, forming up on the field before